Okay. Weenie. Luigi. What's the problem? Beans is scaring you? Is Beans scaring you? Hello, motherfuckers. How are you? How are you? Yeah, Russian invasion of Poland imminent. Yeah, yeah, yeah. None of it good, all of it bad. None of it good, all of it bad. None of it good, all of it bad. Damn those Ruskies. Yeah, no, the Russians are out of their fucking mind, bro. I'm telling you. Just want to say this man is never wrong. Literally to the T. I fucking said not only that the Russians would invade Poland, but that they would do it from Belarus. That Belarus is a springboard for the Russian invasion of Poland. I quite literally made a whole video about that a couple of months back, where I was like, yeah, Belarus is just Russian territory. They pretend like it's a country. It's not a country. It is Russia's territory. Thank you for all the bad news. It's the OAL way to hear the burden of the heavy truth. Well, it's good to be informed. It's good to be informed. Excuse me. Would this be the first time an invasion of Poland starts a world war? No. No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. Stop giving them ideas, Valenti. Yeah, I know. It's getting bad. I bet you Putin is a fan. Putin, you in here? Are you in here, Daddy Vladdy? I'm covered in fucking Luigi's fur. Weenie, you can go up to your bed. You don't need to be afraid. She's afraid of Mr. Beans. Go up to your bed. I'll help you. I'll help you. Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Congratulations to everybody who just got some free membies. Some free membies. Did you see my ass crack there? Yeah, it happens. You saw my ass crack? Happens, you know? Russia has no interest in Poland. It is pure NATO propaganda. Russia only defends itself. Oh, you're retarded. Oh, my bad. I didn't know. Okay, sorry. No point in having that conversation. Whoopsie. Anyway, so the Russians are planning to invade Poland. And Trump is also in the midst of pulling the United States out of NATO. So, not good, not good. If I had a nickel for every time a world war started by invading Poland, I'd have 3 nickels. Correct. Correct. I didn't know there was actual Russian bots in here. Wow. Russian bots in my chat. That's remarkable, really. It's remarkable. I feel like the U.S. reported on this attack because the Epstein files needing to be released. Well, of course, the Epstein files still need to be released, but no, this is see, the thing is, the U.S. government doesn't do anything off of instinct. Everything is planned out, and what they're doing is they're saying now that the Russians are going to invade Poland in the next 6 months, right? And the reason why they're saying it now is so that Trump can start to set the stage for the American withdrawal from NATO. Okay, and this is, in my opinion, if you really think it's a coincidence that this article came out today and also Trump posted this today, right? And also Trump posted this today, some bullshit about us like having to pull out of NATO. If you think that's a coincidence, I have a fucking bridge to sell you, okay? I have a bridge to sell you. Oh, you already made the thumbnail. Let me get a look at it. Let's see it. All according to plan. Okay, let's get me in there. See, here's my problem with this, Nelson. I feel like most people do not know that this is what is that, Warsaw? I think this is Warsaw. Most people are not going to know that that's Poland. There's got to be a way to make it more clear. Maybe like a Polish flag, but even then, people don't know what the Polish flag is. At least Americans don't. Don't know. I'm stumped. I don't know how to make it abundantly clear that this is an invasion of Poland. But I'll give you me to put in there. I'll give you me to put in there. Ready? Here's me. Here's me to put in there. God, I'm really covered in dog fur. All right, here's me. Here's me. Point being, told you. You waking up yet? How about this one? Ready? Good. Golden. Golden. All right. While Nelson gets to work on that, I want to dive right into the video. I want to make this video because we also have a 38-minute long Trump interview. We have to watch that. We have to watch that, okay? We have to watch that. You dig? You dig? I'm going to go fill up my coffee real quick. And do me a favor, watch Luigi for me. Let me know if she does anything bad. I'll be right back. I'm just getting coffee. Stay. All right. You know what you could also do, Nelson, if you really wanted? Oh God, you fuck yes. 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 Maybe change it from all according to plan to World War III. Just straight up World War III. I feel like that's good enough. Now, when it comes, yeah. Now, I can't, hold on, chat. I want to know real quick. Should we do the number 3 or I? I think I hits harder. Because that's how we did World War I and II. I think I hits way harder. Yeah. 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 Yeah, that hits harder. Perfect. Perfect. If they can take Poland, they can take us. Brother. Think, Mark. We're the United States of America. No nation on earth can invade the United States of America. It doesn't matter how fucked our government is. Do you know what Appalachia is? Or Appalachia? It doesn't matter. You cannot invade the United States of America. There's a famous phrase from the Japanese in World War II. There would be a rifle behind every blade of grass. Okay? Israel invaded us. Well, not militarily. Ideologically, yes, they invaded us ideologically, but they did not invade us militarily. You think Alaska can't be taken? Okay, well, if we're talking about fucking Alaska and Hawaii, sure. You could take Alaska and Hawaii. If we're talking, and Puerto Rico. If you're talking, sorry, Nelson. If you're talking about the mainland United States of America, fuck no. Nobody can invade the mainland of the United States of America. At least not without destroying it first, okay? If you really wanted to invade the United States of America, you would have to, depending on which coast you were coming in, you would have to probably drop like 10 low-yield nuclear weapons on each coast and then invade, okay? You can't just show up. You can't just show up. You would have to murk the coasts, and then even then, you would have to make your way across the entire fucking nation to the other side. Good luck, good luck, good luck. Now, me personally, I could do that. I could do that. You could not. I could do that. You could not, okay? Somebody said the Appalachian Mountains have no fossils. It's legitimately older than bones. They set up a flock camera near my house and now my connection is shot. Don't knock it down. Whatever you do, do not put on a balaclava and hide any tattoos. Do not try to hide your identity and rip it out of the ground. Do not do that. Do not do that. You should not be hiding your identity in order to tear down flock cameras. That's a bad, bad, bad thing. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And whatever you do, do not get 5 high-powered green lasers duct taped together and shine it in the camera's light. Do not do that. Fuck. Think, Mark. Do not do that. Okay? 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 All right. Y'all ready to just dive into this video? Nelson, the thummy looks great. Check out the thummy. Thummy looks great. Thummy's looking great. The thummy's looking great. The thummy's looking great. Roger, roger. Okay. Y'all ready? Y'all ready to kirk in? You ready? Oh, wait, you know what? Before we do, how about a quick Bella Ciao. Una mattina mi sono alzato, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Una mattina mi sono alzato e ho trovato l'invasor, oh partigiano, portami via. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, 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 partigiano, portami via, che mi sento di morire. Yeah. I'm getting close to the appeal of this song. It's kind of a bit like having your daily dose of sanity. Most of us here are not religious, but fighting against fascism is my church, and singing Bella Ciao is my Our Father, or my Hail Mary, okay? That's what that is. It's getting linked up with the energy of the universe in order to properly be able to fight fascism, okay? Excuse me. My poor dogs think that song means fight the windows. The new zoomed in cam looks great. Yeah, no, it does. It really does. It really, really does. I'm gonna get that out of frame a little bit. I wish I could. No, I really can't. Can I do that? Not really. Right there. Right there? There. How do I sound? Do I, because I moved it downward a little bit. Do I still sound okay? Y'all can still understand what I'm saying and shit? All right. Hail Mary, full of grace. Don't let the fascist bite my face. I like that. I like that. You sound like a homosexual. Okay, so everything's working properly? I'm getting used to it. I'm getting used to the new soundboard. Okay, I'm getting used to the soundboard. All right, you got to give me a second to get used to the soundboard. I feel like that's valid. I feel like that's a valid thing to say, valid thing to do, type shit. Mossad gave you period cramps. Nuke Tel Aviv. That simple. You know. Senator Mitch still alive? No idea. Hopefully not, but no idea. All right, all right, all right. Let's Kirk in. Let's Kirk in. Let's Kirk in. Let's Kirk in. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Russia is going to invade Poland within the next 3 to 6 months, at least according to U.S. officials who have been issuing dire warnings to the Polish government that the United States of America has intelligence that says that the Russians plan on doing a full-scale invasion of Poland launching from Belarus, which I have been saying for over a year. Belarus is simply a springboard for the Russian government to start invading NATO nations. So we have this article from the Telegraph talking about how Russia plans on attacking Poland to test NATO resolve, with boots on the ground soldiers literally crossing the border from Kaliningrad to Belarus and then from Belarus into Poland. Okay? So we're looking at what would technically be the beginning of World War III. However, I have argued and will remain to argue that World War III began quite a long time ago. I would say that World War III began with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, not with Crimea, but with the actual Russian invasion of Ukraine, the full-scale invasion. And then it escalated with, Israel launching its genocide on the Palestinians, and then America launching its war in the name of Israel on Iran, and then Israel expanding its territory into Lebanon and mass murdering the Lebanese people and seizing all of South Lebanon, and the Chinese inching closer and closer to Taiwan. I think that in 20 to 30 years, we're going to look back and be like, oh, we actually were living through the early stages of World War III before we knew it. The same way that people don't understand this. You need to think for a second. Think, Mark. Think. Think, Mark. During World War I, or what they called the Great War, in the early stages of it, the first year, the first 2 years, nobody thought that this was going to be a world war. And then you look back at the event and you go, oh yeah, the World War, people argue, they're like, technically World War I really started with the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. There's still speculation on what exactly started it, but I do believe that we are living in the middle of World War III. So the Russians plan on attacking Poland, and then coincidentally, and I'm saying that hyperbolically, it is not a coincidence, Trump starts posting on Truth Social all about how the United States of America needs to pull out of NATO. And it's not just Trump, it's also every single Republican pundit, all the conservative influencers are all over Twitter, seemingly all at once, because they have these group chats where they're like, okay, we need to start hammering down on the American withdrawal from NATO, right? Because Trump does not want to go to war with Russia. Trump is allies with Vladimir Putin. He's best friends with Vladimir Putin. And on top of that, the Russians, just like the Israelis, have videos. There's a vault in Moscow with videos of Donald Trump raping children, the same way that there's a vault in Tel Aviv with videos of Donald Trump raping children. So Trump doesn't really have a choice. He is not allowed to defend NATO nations from Russia. And on top of that, part of this is the Russian invasion of Poland is we're going to get into it, but they're trying to get America to stop funding Ukraine. Okay, so that the Russians can completely take over Ukraine. It's diabolical. The next thing that we also have to talk about is that the U.S. was warned about Israel's aims to assassinate Iranian leaders, including the guys that we've seen on CNN. Arachchi and Baligov. These are all guys who the Israelis planned on assassinating, and it actually got so out of hand that the Americans were warning the Iranians that, hey, we're trying to negotiate with you, but the Israelis are going to try to assassinate you. You probably shouldn't show up to this event. Okay, so it just goes to show that the Americans, we have zero control over Israel. We pretend like it's a symbiotic relationship, but we do not have a relationship with them. On top of that, currently, right now, the former supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei, who we assassinated alongside his granddaughter, who was like 6 months old, and the rest of his family. We killed his son, one of his sons, we killed his granddaughter, we killed his wife, we killed pretty much his entire family. Well, his funeral is going on right now, and it will be a multi-day long funeral. His coffin is on display. There are massive crowds out there, you know, praising him, and I can guarantee you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Israel will bomb the funeral, and they'll probably use American weapons, and then they will claim it was us who did it. Just another false flag operation in order to completely terminate the peace talks. And then the last thing, we're not going to be watching this on the video. We'll be watching this live. It's going to be Trump's interview with CNBC, where he says he is the best president Israel has ever had. That's not a joke. He actually said that. So yeah, I'll never want to hear a Republican speak again. Okay, so before we dive in, as usual, guys, hi, how are you? I'm Chris Valenti. Welcome to the Valenti VOD. This is what real independent media looks like. It looks like some stupid douchebag, dirtbag socialist with his dog on the couch and a Batman poster, okay? I've never done a ad read or a sponsorship. I've never had a conversation with a billionaire, a government, any of that shit. So if you do want to help me out financially, if you want to help boost independent media, keep the OAL operation growing, the only Americans left, there's a couple of ways you can. You could buy merch like the posters behind me. We also have mugs, we've got hoodies, we've got crop tops, we've got all that jazz located down below. You can click the thanks button down below to tip me directly. You can click the join button down below to become a member of the channel for $5. That'll give you access to member-only content like the emotes of my cute little puppy, Luigi. And then last but certainly not least, you can become a patron on Patreon. Shouts out to every single fucking patron. You guys are the goats. That's my secondary source of income if this YouTube channel ever gets fucking nuked. So yeah, you can watch all of my videos on Patreon completely ad-free. If you don't have YouTube Premium, it's a great way to do it. And then the last thing I want to ask you to do, real quick, do it right now. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, okay? I want you to comment your favorite color, you piece of shit. Do that. All of that costs you nothing and it helps me immensely. But without further ado, we're going to dive right into the story here. So, Russia planning attack on Poland to test NATO resolve, the U.S. warns. Critical infrastructure could be targeted by missiles and drones, with soldiers potentially crossing the border from Kaliningrad or Belarus. Russia is planning an armed provocation on Polish soil to test NATO's resolve, the United States has warned. Polish critical infrastructure could be targeted by missiles. Oh, let me turn this off real quick. Hold on, I'm sorry about that. All right, Polish critical infrastructure could be targeted by missiles and drones, or Russian soldiers could cross the border into NATO territory. Washington has issued several warnings to Warsaw about the plot, sources told Karol Nawrocki. The Polish president told Onet, the Polish news outlet, which, along with the Telegraph, is owned by Alex Springer and is part of its global reporters network. The goal of the Russian provocation would be to escalate tensions and force Western allies to suspend aid to Ukraine. It could be launched in a matter of months. Polish security sources have also not ruled out a more conventional attack, such as small ground incursions of Russian soldiers across NATO's eastern flank. According to Onet's security sources, provocation scenarios could include a drone attack on critical infrastructure, such as power stations, or simulated airstrikes that would force Poland to activate its air defense systems. So, I want to talk about something real quick while I raise my chair. Maybe you guys don't remember this, but early on in the Russian invasion of Ukraine, there was a quote-unquote accidental missile strike on Poland, right? And I think it hit like a farm and it killed one guy, some Polish farmer. That, and I said this back then and I'll say it again, was not an accident. That was poking the bear, poking NATO to see if we even do anything, if we're willing to respond. And guess what we did? Absolutely fucking nothing. The Russians learned from that and they said, okay, of all the NATO nations, it seems like if we attacked Poland, NATO would be the least likely to respond to it. I don't know what it is about Poland, but seemingly the United States of America and the other NATO nations really don't give a fuck about it, which is ironic because the invasion of Poland is what triggered the start of World War II. Okay. One Polish intelligence source said that in the most extreme scenario, a quote, hybrid attack in the border region could occur. The same source said an armed incursion involving Russian or Belarusian soldiers was conceivable. Sorry. This could be presented by Russia as an accidental straying into Polish territory because of a GPS failure. That's exactly what they said when they bombed Poland years ago. Or as a dubious rescue mission to retrieve a helicopter suffering from a malfunction. What does that remind you of, by the way? I wonder where the Russians got the idea to fake a rescue mission. You learned that from Donnie Diddle's kids with the completely faked rescue mission of that, what was it, an F-15 pilot that was shot down? I said it back then and I'll say it again. There was no pilot, there was no plane that was shot down. That was a failed attempt sending special operations soldiers into Iran to try and infiltrate Isfahan, Natanz, Fordow, and confiscate the highly enriched uranium, okay? Thank you so much for the $10 donation. Thank you for the $50 donation. You guys are incredible. I love you all. Thank you very much. So, yeah, I think that the Russians, I think that Trump and Putin are having back-channel conversations, and Trump gave him the idea, goes, well, if you really want to invade Poland, you could just pretend like one of your helicopters was shut down and that you're going on a rescue mission. And then you set up forward operating bases. This is what we did in Iran. It failed miserably because we're up against Iran, but you're up against Poland. I think you stand a chance. So that's what I believe is going on here. Let's keep reading. Russia would count on the fact that instead of opening fire on Russian or Belarusian soldiers in such a situation, Poland would be forced by the U.S. to negotiate with Russia or Belarus rather than respond forcefully, Polish sources told ONET. So essentially, the Poles know that Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump are best friends. The American military and the Russian military are the exact same thing, but we speak two different languages. We are a violent, colonial, imperial fucking cancer that murders our way through the planet. The Russian and the American militaries are the exact same things. We just speak two different languages, okay? A scenario in which the Russians would withdraw from Poland as a result of those negotiations, rather than because they were forced to do so by military means, would be seen as a win from Moscow's perspective. It would be, oh, sorry, I didn't share my screen there. That's my bad. I clicked the wrong button. A scenario in which the Russians would withdraw from Poland as a result of those negotiations, rather than because they were forced to do so by military means, would be seen as a win from Moscow's perspective. So what does that mean? That means that the Russians know that Article 5 of NATO means that if one NATO country is attacked, all NATO countries are attacked. Now, the Russians are relying on the fact that the United States of America has been talking about pulling out of NATO for so fucking long. We don't want to be arming Ukraine. When I say we, I mean the government. We don't want to be arming Ukraine. We don't want to be defending European nations. Trump fucking hates NATO. And at the same time, we're also trying to pass the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, right? Which, I'm not kidding about this, merges the United States military with the Israeli military in a NATO style, where if one country is attacked, both countries are attacked. And at the exact same time, it also gives the Israelis permanent access to all of the Pentagon's classified material. So it doesn't matter if we get like a Democrat president in 2028 and they try to cut the cord between the United States and Israel. If the NDAA goes in, if it passes, it is simply the merging of the United States military and the Israeli military permanently, okay? You'd have to declare war on Israel, okay, which I vehemently support. Keep reading here. An end to Western support for Ukraine could even be a central Russian demand of such talks in return for withdrawal from Poland. The U.S., quote, systematically informs Poland about every new Russian plans for a conventional attack on NATO's eastern flank, from which Poland is by no means excluded, said a source close to the Polish president. A second source, an ambassador to one of Poland's allies in the NATO alliance, also confirmed that a provocation in one of the Baltic states and/or Poland is a serious risk, as did a third source in the Polish Defense Ministry. A fourth Baltic security source confirmed to the Telegraph that such plans were under discussion in Moscow. Four fucking sources! 4 sources confirmed from all different nations confirming, yeah, no, the Russians are drawing up plans for the invasion of Poland. And I'll let you know right now, I love you, Hassan, but don't you dare let those words come out of your lips. Don't you dare say the Russians will not invade Poland the same way that you said the Russians will not invade Ukraine, okay? I'm telling you right fucking now, before 2027, the Russians will invade Poland. Take that information as you fucking will. All right, let's keep going. Russia may then attempt to claim the provocation was carried out by Ukraine afterwards. Are you fucking kidding me? Who the fuck would buy that? The Russians invade Poland and then they go, hey, listen, no, comrade, it was not me. I have been sitting in the Winter Palace having caviar and snorting cocaine. That must have been Volodymyr Zelensky sending in Ukrainian troops to capture Poland. As we've told you, Ukraine is full of Nazis. Poland is full of Jews. I'm telling you, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. That, I guarantee you, they're going to try and pull that shit. Okay. Any ground-based attack by Russia could be staged either from Kaliningrad, the Russian exclave to the north of Poland, which hosts nuclear weapons, or from Belarus to the east. So here's a little map here. Here's Poland. Here's Russia. Here's Belarus. The Russians will use Belarus as a springboard to invade through the eastern border of Poland, probably with ground troops. At the same time, the Russians will send missiles and drones from Kaliningrad to soften up the territory, okay? Now you have to understand, the Poles and NATO really don't have a choice. We can't really fire at Kaliningrad. Reason being, there's nuclear weapons there. Okay? You know, we don't bomb China, we don't bomb Russia, we don't bomb North Korea. They got nuclear weapons, okay? We are 85 seconds to midnight, as Matt Murdock, that chatter, just said. So this is an incredibly dangerous escalation. Such methods are Russia's only realistic means of staging a provocation. Because its forces are tied up in Ukraine, it lacks the capacity to wage full-scale war on NATO allies. While Poland remains a staunch security ally of Ukraine, relations have become strained in recent months because of differing views on Second World War era history. Oh, Jesus Christ. It literally is being tied back to the fact that Ukraine had a pretty big Nazi problem during World War II. The Ukrainians were forced between a rock and a hard place. They had the Soviets killing them all, and then they had the Russians, and then they had the Nazis killing them all. So a lot of the Ukrainians ended up picking a side, and they ended up picking the Germans to take down the Soviets. Granted, a lot of Ukrainians ended up taking their own side and killing both, but we're probably seeing a big divide between Ukraine and Poland because Poland has a lot of Jews there and the Ukrainians had a pretty big problem with Nazis. Okay. And the two countries' competing farming industries. It is feared that Moscow may seek to widen that rift. Okay. The Telegraph also understands that a recent naval exercise in Latvia, in which the U.S. Navy and Marines played a central role, was designed to remind Moscow that any attack on the eastern flank would be a de facto attack on American troops. Now, this won't last because Donald wants to pull us out of NATO and he wants us to stop defending Europe. In a worst-case scenario for NATO, Russia's aim would be to undermine Polish sovereignty, expose NATO as a paper tiger, the same way that Iran just exposed the United States military as a paper tiger, and force the withdrawal of Western support for Ukraine, all without triggering a conventional war with the alliance. A member of the Polish Ministry of Defense's leadership confirmed to ONET the possibility of a Russian provocation, but noted that Poland had already conducted exercises aimed at warning Moscow of a devastating NATO response. Now here's the thing. NATO can only have a devastating response if the United States of America is in NATO. It is us. There's one thing that Trump has been correct about, which is that NATO's strength comes from the United States of America. It does not come from other nations, okay? You could combine the military might of every NATO nation and it still does not stand up to the might of the United States military in terms of conventional warfare. Now, we are learning right now that even in modern warfare, we fucking suck. It's asymmetrical. They got $20,000 Shahed drones beating $1.6 million Patriot missiles. So, seemingly, the United States of America would be the only people to defend NATO, And the United States of America isn't even capable of winning a fucking war to open up the Strait of Hormuz against Iran. So ultimately, we're fucked. Let's keep reading. From Moscow's perspective, a provocation directed at Poland would be a better option than a provocation against one of the Baltic states, European security sources said. ONIT's sources stress that any Russian provocation would not resemble a, quote, classic or conventional war, and that Moscow has not yet fully committed to conducting one. Poland shares borders with Belarus, a Russian puppet state controlled by Alexander Lukashenko, an ally of Vladimir Putin, and the exclave of Kaliningrad. All right, now these next two paragraphs had my head spinning. Any of you Polish? Is anybody in the chat Polish? Because this is going to have your fucking head spinning. The Telegraph understands that NATO could respond to any Russian provocation with direct attacks on Kaliningrad, which have been cited as a potential target by Holger Neumann, the German Air Force chief. Here we go. Last month, the head of the Luftwaffe told the Telegraph that Germany would defend every inch of NATO territory, including Poland, if it were forced to act defensively. You're telling me there's going to be some 98-year-old Polish guy. Holy fuck, thank you for the $100 donation, Venus and John. I love you all. Thank you very much. You're telling me there's going to be some 98-year-old Polish guy who lived through the blitzkrieg of Poland with the German Luftwaffe strafing and bombing everything. He's going to go outside. He's going to have his tea. And he's going to go outside. He's going to have his tea. And he's going to hear, oh my God, it's the fucking Luftwaffe again. Dude. But except this time, the Luftwaffe is going to be defending Poland from Russian aggression. That is delusional. They're going to be having PTSD. They're going to be going, no fucking shot, dude. The Germans are back. Except in this reality, the Germans are defending Poland from Russian aggression. Fucking delusional. Okay. He signaled out Kaliningrad, St. Petersburg, which hosts key naval assets, the Kola Peninsula, where Moscow is amassing nuclear weapons, and the Black Sea, home to Russia's Black Sea Fleet, as potential targets in the event of a conflict. Okay, so this article pretty much explains that the Russians are getting ready to invade Poland, and the Russians are relying on the fact that NATO will not defend Poland. Curious enough, look what Trump posted on Truth Social. Ridiculous for the USA to continue along this one-sided path when the relationship is not reciprocal. They were not there for us, President DJT. Now, first thing I want to point out is they were not there for us is nuts, because when we were attacked on 9/11, we invoked Article 5, and multiple NATO nations came to war with us in Iraq and Afghanistan. Unjustifiably, none of them should have showed up, and we shouldn't have been there in the first place, because it wasn't Al-Qaeda who took down the towers, it was Israel, okay? You can cope, mold, and seethe all you fucking want. The Israelis did 9/11, okay? But what he's saying is that none of the NATO nations were there to help us with our illegal and offensive war in the name of Jeffrey Epstein, known as Operation Epstein's Fury, okay? But posting this stupid graph, USA spends $999 billion, and then here's all the money. So Trump is trying to gear us up to completely withdraw from NATO, conveniently right before the Russian invasion of NATO territory. He also posted this. The United States spends more money on NATO than any other country by far to protect them, without getting any benefit from so doing. US $999 billion, UK $90.5 billion, France $66.5 billion, Italy $48.8 billion, Poland $44.3 billion. Others, including Germany, are much lower. Ridiculous, President DJT. There's a lot of NATO nations. He did not need to put Poland in there. He absolutely did not need. I'm telling you. This is Trump's plan on preventing the U.S. from having to defend NATO nations from the Russian invasion of Poland. That's what this is. Okay, now I've got more for you. This next one has nothing to do with Poland or Russia, but it does have to do with warfare. U.S. warned Iran about Israel's aims to assassinate leaders. In the spring, U.S. officials suspected that Israel intended to kill Iran's top negotiators and sent a warning to Tehran to take precautions. Our number one ally, right? Our number one ally, right? According to the GOP. So we're in the midst of peace talks, in the midst of desperately trying to find a resolution to this conflict and stop the war, right? Meanwhile, the Israelis are saying, no, fuck you, actually. Not only are you going to send all of your tax dollars to us, not only are you going to send all of your missiles to us, not only are we going to buy all of your politicians, but we're also going to assassinate the Iranian negotiators that you're trying to end the war with because, Donnie, you don't have permission to end the war. Who said that? Who said that?
Think, Mark.
Was it Chris Valenti saying that for fucking months? That Donald does not have permission to end the war in Iran. I almost said Ukraine. And because of that, the Israelis will not only hold their blackmail over his face, but they will go out of their way to try and assassinate anybody that we are making negotiations with. All right, gotta look. Senior U.S. officials feared that Israel intended to assassinate Iran's top negotiators as the Trump regime pursued a high-stakes deal to end the war there and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Current and former officials familiar with the matter said. Washington's objection to killing Abbas Araghchi, who we've seen on CNN, Iran's foreign minister, and Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, the country's parliamentary speaker, was so acute that this spring it took the extraordinary step of asking intermediaries to warn Iran about Israel's assassination aims, the U.S. said. Quote, you kill those folks and you're killing the pragmatists, said a U.S. official, who like others, spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss the U.S. outlook on Israel's targeted killing campaign. Now, the reason why these people are speaking on the condition of anonymity is because the Israelis will not hesitate to assassinate Americans either, okay? So if somebody like this who is leaking out, hey, Israel is trying to assassinate Iranian negotiators, and they're not only warning Iran, they're also warning the American people of how insane Israel is, this person, their life is in danger from the repugnant rape state known as Israel, okay? As far back as March, when the Trump regime began to explore diplomatic options for ending the war, U.S. officials told Israeli counterparts not to continue killing Iran's political leadership, said a diplomat. The U.S. officials felt the need to take an additional step and warn Iran that its top negotiators could be killed demonstrates the strain in the U.S.-Israel relationship. You don't say. We're trying to negotiate with a guy and we go, yo, by the way, my boy over there, he's gonna try to kill you tonight, okay? So just don't go home. Just like stay out at the bars or some shit. What the fuck? What the fuck? And meanwhile, your dumbass Christian friends are gonna be like, Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East, man. We have to be defending them. It shows the divergence of war aims between the U.S. and Israel and the fundamental determination on the part of Israel's prime minister to undermine any negotiation that the U.S. might conclude, said Aaron David Miller, a former State Department official who has advised Republican and Democratic administrations. Brother, you better make a public statement right now saying that you are not suicidal. The Israeli embassy in Washington declined to comment. When asked for comment from the White House, a U.S. official said the president wants the peace process to play out. So the White House won't even deny this. The White House is not even denying this. They're like, listen, I mean, did we warn the Iranians that Israel was going to assassinate them? That's a good question. The president wants the peace process to play out. Okay, so that's a yes. Okay? U.S. concerns about Israeli assassinations were reported earlier by the New York Times. When the United States and Israel started the Iran war on February 28th, Israel assassinated scores of Iranian political and military leaders, including Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, while the U.S. military focused on degrading Iran's navy and missile capabilities. Okay, so we killed Ayatollah Khamenei, which will now lead us into this next article here. U.S. and Iran latest. The slain supreme leader's coffin on display as Iran gears up for a days-long funeral with peace talks paused. The casket of slain supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was carried into Tehran's Grand Masala Friday morning. Foreign dignitaries and religious leaders are expected to pay their respects ahead of a two-day public farewell in the capital before the body is brought on tour of Iran and Iraq. A powerful general who leads Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard emerged from hiding Thursday ahead of the funeral. Photos published online by Iranian state media showed General Ahmad Vahidi sitting alongside Khamenei's casket as Iran's theocracy held a small service for him Thursday night. Qatari and Pakistani mediators said Thursday that the next meeting between Iranian and U.S. negotiators would be scheduled, quote, at the earliest possible time after funeral commemorations for Iran's former supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed in U.S.-Israeli strikes on February 28th, and his funeral is to last from July 4th until July 9th. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. No, not July 4th. Oh, no. I think either Donald himself, because he is a lunatic, or the Israelis, because they're psychopaths, are going to bomb the fucking funeral on July 4th as not only a celebration of American military might, but what we will think is a final nail in the coffin, pun intended. The final nail in the coffin on his coffin. Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is really, 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 really bad. If we do this, by the way, I hope you understand the Strait of Hormuz will unironically never open again in your fucking life. It will never be open ever again. Oh, Jesus Christ. I feel like I just found a missing piece in Indiana Jones's fucking puzzle. Oh, God. Okay, and then the last thing, we're not going to be watching this in the pre-recorded video. I'm only going to be watching this on live. This is a 38-minute-long interview with Donald Trump on CNBC. But I do know that he literally says in this interview, I have been the best president Israel has ever had. I mean, why do I even do what I do? I don't even need to, like, convince people that you're, you know, like, Israel first instead of America first. You say it yourself. So it's absolutely mind-boggling. Anyway, if you're here live, you stay. We're going to keep on going. If you're watching this pre-recorded on YouTube, we got World War III in the horizon. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It costs you nothing. It helps me immensely. Help support the channel by donating. That helps boost independent media. And click that video right over there. It's a banger. And I know bangers. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. All right, we're going to get that uploaded before we watch this interview because I feel like that is such huge and crazy news. I feel like that was one of the best, that was one of the bangers of all bangers, right? I feel like that was one of the bangers of all bangers. What do you need for number 2? I don't think I'm going to make a second video unless we're going to watch this interview. And then if there's anything worth making a video about it, then we will. But for now, I don't even plan on making a second video. Oh, this is so fucking bad. Episode 492. That's really bad, gang. Chris Senpai looks so good today. Ooh, woo. Umae shindru wa. Nani? Dude, voice actors coming to work and they're like, all right, what do you need? And they go, I need we need like an hour of you getting hit. And they go, yeah, no, sure. That's literal. It's ridiculous. All right. Okay. I got the doc up, but I'll look at it in a second. I want to get this video uploaded first. So you guys think Hassan is going to say the Russians are not going to invade Poland? Or do you think he's just going to avoid any predictions about Russian invasions due to his previous one? Okay. Russian invasion of Poland. U.S. warns NATO that a Russian invasion of Poland is imminent. Russia is going to invade Poland before the end of 2026. the Russian invasion of Poland. No, not that one. Do you think it'll be a full invasion? No, they'll probably just like send a couple of troops over just to see how weak NATO truly is. This is a test of NATO's resolve, and NATO will probably do absolutely nothing about it. Publish. Trim off the fat. Russia is going to invade. Okay, now I want to get this up on Patreon as well. You know the shit that's going down in Sudan? There's like a it's about to be like a massive slaughter, right? Like people are just going to be fucking dying in mass, I believe. What is this?
But we can be bees. This is good news.
Thanks, Nelson. All right, the Russians are going to invade Poland. Go. Okay. Now I've got to make a quick advertisement. Also, let me find the CNBC interview again because I accidentally closed it out. There it is. Okay. Make a quick advertisement. So the U.S. is warning Poland that there is an imminent Russian invasion coming in the next couple of months. The Russians plan on invading Poland with ground troops and also firing missiles and drones from Kaliningrad. They want to use Belarus as a springboard to send in the infantry that's on the east of Poland, while they bomb Poland from the north. This is all a test for NATO, to test NATO's resolve. And coincidentally, Trump is spamming Truth Social, and so is every single conservative pundit and conservative influencer, spamming Truth Social about how the U.S. must withdraw from NATO. We spend way too much money on NATO, and NATO was not there for us, despite the fact that we are the only NATO nation that invoked Article 5, and then NATO nations came to war with us in Iraq and Afghanistan after the Israelis did 9/11, and we blamed it on Al-Qaeda. And all of that was unjustifiable. I mean, the NATO countries shouldn't have invaded. We shouldn't have invaded. We killed like 1.6 million Iraqi civilians. Fucking delusional shit. So yeah, the Russians plan on invading Poland, all to sort of prove that NATO is a paper tiger. The thing is, the strongest force in NATO is the United States military, and the United States military just proved to the entire world that we are also a paper tiger, incapable of reopening the Strait of Hormuz, incapable of winning a war against Iran, incapable of completing a single fucking goal in Operation Epstein's Fury. At the same time, the U.S. warned Iran that Israel was trying to assassinate Iranian negotiators, even the guys that we see on fucking CNN, like Aradchi and Baligaf, right? So let that be a lesson in how we have zero control over Israel, to the point where we're at war with Iran, trying to do peace talks, and we call up the Iranians and go, hey, yo, by the way, my boy is nuts and he's trying to kill you. Do not go home tonight. So, Best ally in the world, right? Only democracy in the Middle East, right? Standing in the way of peace talks because they refuse to allow the Legion of Goyim to end their war in Iran because the Israelis need hot war in order to expand their territory and create the Greater Israel Project. Absolutely fucking mind-boggling shit. I got a whole new YouTube video talking about this. Go check it out. Whole new YouTube video on Valenti Videos, YouTube. Go check it out. New YouTube video, new YouTube video, new YouTube video, new YouTube video. Go check it out. Alrighty. Let me get that uploaded. Excuse me. You taking the 4th off? Maybe. I don't know. I got no idea. Oh, you're currently hitting the Palantir? Dude, as soon as I'm done here, I gotta be hitting the Palantir. As soon as I'm done here. But we do have to watch that Trump interview. New episode of the Valenti VOD. I also gotta blast the AC. You see how shiny I'm getting? Bro, I'm telling you, my AC is fighting like a dog, but it's just so goddamn hot. All right, so that's uploaded on YouTube. Let me get it on TikTok. Let me go blast the AC real quick, too. Hey, mama. The Russians are going to invade Poland. Hi, mama. Big smile. Big yawn, maybe? One yawn? Nothing? I love you very much. You're a good girl. Good girl. New episode of the Valenti VOD on YouTube. Post. Oh, so cute. Making a little circle. She's so cute. She's so cute. 78 degrees, comrade. You do not want gulag. Go buy a Twix bar. Thank you. I already got the Docutussi loaded up. I'll pull it up. I just got to get this uploaded on Instagram now. Thank you for the $2. I appreciate, much appreciate. No, not add to story. It's a reel, not a story post. My phone is glitched. My phone is frozen. I was going to smack it as hard as I possibly could. The Russians are going to invade Poland. New episode. The Valenti VOD. YouTube. Share. Okay. While that posts, I will check out the Docutussi, and then we will watch this Trump interview. Okay? Ouija Cam when? One of these days. Okay. OAL broadcast doc. I seen this. That's great. Community art. What the fuck is that? Mamdani says America's for foreigners. Oh yeah, I forgot Mamdani did a speech. I forgot that Zoran did a speech. Maybe we should cue that up and watch that. I hope it wasn't that long. Short Chris edit? I'm Italian and German. Why are you so handsome? I'm Italian and German. The best blood. Wait. I did not mean it that way. I'm Italian and German, meaning, yeah, no, that's definitely exactly what I meant. Brutal, I'm never beating the allegations. Status update on Mitch McConnell?
That is our mayor. He is dead. He has been lying there dead for 3 days. No one has done a thing. Not moved him, not looked into his death, not even replaced him with a temporary appointee. For the last 3 days, the highest ranking official in our town has been a dead guy.
Rigor Tortoise? Rigor Tortoise? Rigor Tortoise? No! 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 Uncle Chegger exposes AIPAC? No way. What do we got?
When you laugh at a genocide, you are by definition a monster. So don't tell me about any of this crap. And I don't want to hear about anything else anymore about how Israel's the victim. Israel is not within a billion miles of being a victim.
Correct.
Since 1948, they have attacked all of their neighbors and taken more and more land. That is an absolute certain fact. But they lie to you and they go, oh no, it was the terrorists. That they made us take their land. They made us take Gaza. They made us take a huge chunk of the West Bank. They made us go into southern Lebanon. They made us go into western Syria. They made us attack Iran. They didn't make you do any of that. You're an aggressive imperial empire, slaughtering people, committing genocide, so you could have more land.
Correct.
And you could easily do that because you manipulated all of our politicians. You bought them through AIPAC. And no, I don't care what you say. You definitely bought them. That's exactly what AIPAC did. Correct. And anyone who's a fool enough to tell you, no, AIPAC gave out hundreds of millions of dollars, but it didn't affect our politicians. You would have.
Really? Oh yeah, no, the American-Israeli PAC, which is the only foreign lobby that does not have to register as a foreign lobby. Wait, what the fuck happened to the Zoom? What the fuck happened to the Zoom? Huh? Let me fix that. There we go. I don't know what the fuck that was about. That was strange.
To be a moron of the highest order to say that. You'd have to be the dumbest person in the whole planet to say our crook politicians took hundreds of millions of dollars from AIPAC, but it didn't affect them? Come on, who could be that stupid? Oh, I know. Every single mainstream media reporter in America.
Correct.
Every single one of them lies to you on purpose and says, no, AIPAC doesn't have any influence. AIPAC, how do you say it? Anti-Semite. No, you guys are anti-Palestinian, anti-Muslim racists.
They're anti-human.
And bigots. You don't care about Muslim lives. You don't care about Muslim lives at all. So when Palestinians are slaughtered, what is it going to take? 18,000 kids? 180,000 kids? You don't care about them at all.
Something that I hope he says, but I don't think he'll say it, is that the unfortunate reality is that the American government would not bat an eye at the complete and total extermination of the global Muslim population. We wouldn't even step in the way. We wouldn't give a fuck. At least the current government, the current United States government. Who is this guy? This is Cenk Uygur. He's one of the, I think he's the owner of the Young Turks. He also happens to be Hassan Piker's uncle. So if you're ever wondering why Hassan Piker is the way that he is, well, here's his fucking uncle. Imagine Thanksgiving.
Whenever Israel slaughters, you go, terrorists, they had it coming. And you do their propaganda for self-defense. 2 years later, self-defense, they declared in their cabinet that they're taking all of Gaza. It was always about the land. Does anybody on CNN or MSNBC or Fox News say that? No, they never say it. They lie to you on purpose to help Israel steal more land in the Middle East, and they claim it's self-defense. Self-defense, my ass. It's a goddamn genocide. And yes, Muslim lives matter. We're also human beings. The only human beings on this planet aren't Israelis. They're not some special benighted superhumans.
Oh, well, tell that to the fucking Israelis, bro. They actually and genuinely believe they are superior to all living beings on this planet. That's why they have different words for us. That's why they call us Goyim and, what's the other word? Gentiles, okay? They genuinely believe that if you are not a Jewish supremacist, you are inferior.
They die. We all have to say, oh, we bow down to you. But if Muslims die, right? That's what American media does. That's what American politicians do. I'm so sick of our lives not mattering. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of everyone has to grovel to Israel. But the minute you ask someone, can you be a decent human being and care about the Palestinians? They go, anti-Semite. No, F you. You're the one who hates Muslims. And American media, you are guilty. You're the ones who got the whole country, my whole life, to hate me, to hate my Muslim family, to hate all Muslims across the world. You're the sick sons of bitches that called us terrorists when it was Israel attacking.
It's insane how people call Hassan a Nepo baby because of Cenk. I love Hassan, but Hassan is absolutely a Nepo baby. I love Hassan, but yeah, no, he was born into extreme wealth. I mean, he's not a billionaire. He wasn't born into the billionaire class, but I'm frankly certain he was born into the millionaire class.
When it was Israel taking land, when it was Israel slaughtering and slaughtering. How many times? Every war, Israel kills 100 times the civilians. This time they kill 1,000 times the civilians. Doesn't count, doesn't count. What does the American media say in their infinite racism? They say it's always the Muslims' fault. It's always the Palestinians' fault. They say stupid crap like, oh no, the Palestinians can't govern themselves.
Yo, real quick.
Terrorists.
You guys want to see the newest blunt art that I've got coming in? Reminder, all of my blunt wrap art is like custom made. This is the newest one I got coming in. That's made out of blunt wraps, bro. That is made out of fucking blunt wraps. Holy shit. Holy shit, dude. RJ is insane. RJ is fucking insane. He's so, dude, I asked him, I said, yo, could you make me a Hylian shield? He said, yeah, give me 2 weeks. Got me with a fucking Hylian shield, bro. Wait, show again? I'll show you one more time. Dude, made out of blunts, bro. That's made out of blunts. It's made out of blunts. Oh, that's so sick. Real quick, by the way, let me just pull up his Instagram. In case any of you guys want to buy his blunt art. So this is my boy RJ. He's an artist. This is where I get all my blunt wrap art. Oh my God, did he put it on? What is this one? No, I'm gonna have to mute all this. But this is my boy. He's got some of the best fucking art you could even imagine. I bet you he's got some good stuff on his story. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. And he does this, by the way. He does first come, first serve. So if you follow him and you're the first one to see this, you'll get this shit for like a discount. Sometimes he gives them away for free. But yeah, no, they're incredible. They're absolutely incredible. Massive shouts out to my boy RJ. Oh, there it is. There it is. There's my Luigi. That's on the wall. Let me get out of the way. There it is. That's my Luigi. These are all one, like unique. They're one of ones. All of them. They're incredible. Absolutely incredible. Okay. Again, shouts out to RJ, my boy. What is this one?
All right, I want to make this as quick as I possibly can. I'm going to go through all the original Pokemon starting today. I'm going to sell them all for $100 each. They're going to be different sizes. Some are going to be shiny. Some are going to be rare. And I'm going to be releasing them everywhere, from my Instagram to my TikTok to all the legendary, real special ones will be through my website and like the email list to the subscribers there. So make sure you're everywhere. Every single one will be one of one. There's a handful of Pokemon I've already done, like Pikachu, Gengar, Slowpoke in the past. If I'm redoing anything, it will be done as like a shiny. It will not be a duplicate of a previous one I've done in the past. And all of these 151 will be authenticated on the back as part of this exclusive collection series. And this Bulbasaur is the first one of the series. They will not be released in order. They will kind of be all over the place. So you don't know what's coming next. You don't know where it's coming, but it's
now,
gonna
see,
be.
the thing is, he also does do requests, so he makes his own, right? But for me, I just text him. I go, yo, can you make me a Hylian shield? And then he tells me how much it's going to cost. He tells me how long it's going to take, and then he'll make it. So, like, if you guys really want, you could potentially DM him and just say, like, hey, learned about your artwork through Valenti videos. Do you do requests, you know? So check him out. He's a friend of mine. He's incredible.
Savages. They can never govern themselves. They're inferior to the Israelis. You don't say that, but you imply that every time. What, the Palestinians are the only people on earth who can't govern themselves? No, you're deeply racist if you say that. You understand? No, every cable news anchor, every reporter at the New York Times, every reporter at the Washington Post.
Yo, RJ just texted me. He goes, something is afoot. I just got 10 followers, and the first one I click, their bio says, dirtbag leftist. Which one of you motherfuckers? Which one of you motherfuckers is it? I know it's one of you motherfuckers. I know damn well one of you motherfuckers. Oh, let's spread the love. Spread the love. Spread the love, gang. Spread the love. It was you, Alicia! Alicia, you motherfucker! It was you! It was you, Alicia! I know you're in here, Alicia! Alright, okay, right back to it.
Deeply racist against Muslims, and you have gotten this country to hate us. It's totally your fault. And you've gotten the country to believe that 1.6 billion Muslims are America's enemies, that we're the violent savages. You're sick. You're disgusting. I can't stand it anymore. Can you, for once in your life, treat a Muslim life the same as an Israeli life? And the answer for mainstream media in America is hell no. They're never going to do it. Never. They hate Muslims, and they drive hatred towards Muslims because Israel needs more land. They need more of Gaza. Are you going to report accurately that they voted to take Gaza? It was never about self-defense. They took Gaza. They voted on that. Have you said it? No. Oh, I mentioned it on page A17. But I don't want anybody to find out Israel's the aggressor. Okay. Israel's the more...
Enough, Cenk, enough. Content Morning Dude is on fire. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm not watching that on stream. There was a guy set himself on fire in front of the UN building in New York City in an act of protest. Listen, some of you are going to disagree with me here, but don't do that, okay? You can do more damage against the establishment if you're alive. Do not do that, okay? Don't do that. Mitch McConnell confirms he is still in the hospital. Oh, his office. Okay, thank God. Trump confirms his sons are in insider trading. Yeah, I saw this clip. This is fucking diabolical.
My kids, because I feel badly in a way for my kids, because every time my kids do, if they invest in a stock or if they go and do a bill,
Somebody said it worked in Vietnam. No, it didn't. Do you think the people who self-immolated in protest of the Vietnam War are the reason why the Vietnam War ended? They're not. The reason the Vietnam War ended is because we got our fucking asses beat and we're incapable of accomplishing any objectives.
Anything they do, because the presidency is so powerful, so big, everything, if they buy a cupcake company, well, the energy to make the cupcakes is...
Valenti, so many people are so sick and tired of what's going on. Some people are becoming mentally incapacitated. Man up. Man up. This is your life. This is your life we're talking about. Every single generation of humanity has had to live through some sort of unimaginable cataclysmic event. Man the fuck up. Don't take your own life, okay?
You know, sort of like, how's my energy policy? So therefore you have a conflict. almost anything they do. If they want to buy a truck, if they want to buy, if they buy an energy efficient truck, they have inside information. It's pretty tough in that sense. I tell.
Probably literally just said that his sons participate in insider trading with everything they buy. Fucking insane. Air conditioning allegedly failed at Delaney Hall. No way. Oh, they're all gonna fucking die, bro. They're all gonna fucking die. All right, it's time to watch Trump's interview. We're gonna speed this up to, I think, 1.25 speed. All right, let's see.
Mr. President, it's great to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me in this incredible place, and
It's a nice place.
Happy Independence Day and happy
It's not Independence Day, bro.
semi-quincentennial.
Yeah, that's true.
If I got
This is
that
an
right.
interview from yesterday he did on CNBC.
Right?
Thank you.
We 250 years, and I just want to start flying at about 40,000 feet, and just which you've done in pretty nice plane lately, by the way. I saw that. What's so amazing about this country, in your words, for the last 250 years? You always say like never been seen before. There's never been a country like this that's ever been seen in the history.
Well,
of
a
the world.
lot of people don't understand that right now we are in a golden age. You understand it very well. You cover it very well.
Mind you, guys, friendly reminder, this is the sped up speed, okay? These motherfuckers talk so slow. This is literally sped up.
We have more factories being built today than ever before. We have more people working today than at any time ever in the history of our country. And
Not true.
people making more money than they've ever made. I'm not talking about rich people. I'm talking about people that have like normal or normalized jobs, more money than they've ever made before. 401ks are up at levels that they've never seen before, up 80 and 90%. And the stock market's at an all-time high. I think it's 81 days out of a short, year and a half. 81 days, we have 81 records. So nobody's ever seen anything like that.
Or if it backs up, something's hitting a record.
Well, if it
Say,
backs
it's
up,
the
it won't
S&P or the
happen.
NASDAQ or the Dow, another all-time high.
But you said if it backs up, hopefully it won't. But
Well, on
if
any
it does,
given
I
day.
will not be talking about it. I'll be talking about another stuff.
But an unbelievable quarter, unbelievable first half of the year. Your first term.
My boy just said in our group chat, he goes, "Free Sudan? I'll take 5 of them." I made a joke about that where I was like, no wonder the Israelis are fucking taking Gaza. You guys keep on chanting Free Palestine, and you're next to Israel. You're claiming it's free, and they're Israelis. No shit, they're gonna show up.
We saw, I think, if depending on what you measure it from, either 80% from election day, I think, 70% from inauguration.
First term was great. First term was.
It might even be at a faster pace.
This is better. So the first term, we had the most successful 4 years, including the COVID. When you include that, when I handed it off, it was literally. I mean, you look at the numbers. We had the highest market in history.
I did see the rigor tortoise.
First term was.
Let me pull it up. Fuck it. Let me pull it up. That shit was funny. Bro, you can't even really notice that it's a shell behind him. Like at first glance, you're like, oh, okay, cool. It's just a picture of Mitch McConnell. And then you realize he's literally a fucking turtle. Oh, it's great. Okay, back to it.
Was great financially. This is, I think, blowing it away. I think this is going to blow it away.
So we had the jobs number today, which is weird because it's Thursday, but markets aren't open anymore. But 57,000 jobs were below expectations, and I think there were some revisions. But the job market has been stronger than people anticipated. However, we had $90 oil at 67, 68 today.
Right.
And
All artificial because we are blasting through our strategic petroleum reserves, in which we have 2 weeks left, by the way. We have 2 weeks left of our strategic petroleum reserves before the entire world goes into an oil crisis. Okay, you're about to start to see rationing at the gas pump. Okay, they're gonna say like, hey, if your license plate ends in an even number, you can fill up gas on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If your license plate ends in an odd number, you can fill up on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
57,000. Would you say that gives Warsh, the new Fed chairman who you chose, more flexibility to cut? Because for a while we thought the next move might be a hike. Now it's the stars are aligning, would you say, for him to cut?
Well, he's got a board that maybe is a little bit hostile, and unfortunately, and maybe a board that wants to do the wrong thing. So I don't know. He's a great guy and a great pro, and I know where he'd like to be, but he has to do what he has to do. I really think that I would love to be able to get back. In the old days, probably maybe.
By the way, guys, tomorrow is going to be like 107 degrees in Washington, D.C., and Trump said he's going to give one of his longest speeches ever, and he doesn't care how hot it's going to be. It's so hot that the White House is being forced to tell people to not show up to the event. I'm not even kidding about that. There's also been 3 different U.S. presidents who have died on July 4th. All of which died in years ending in 6. I forget exactly which numbers, but it was, it was like 1786 and 1826 and 1936, and now we're moving into 2026. So, in nomine Patris, Filii, Spiritus Sancto, Dio dammi la serenità di eccitare il così che non posso cambiare il coraggio di cambiare il così che posso la saggezza di capire la differenza. Take him, Lord.
Before you started thinking about these things. But if you go back 20 or 25 years, when you announced great numbers, the stock market went up. When you announced bad numbers, the stock market would go down. Today it's the opposite. When you announce good numbers, the stock market goes down, sometimes really way down, depending on how good. The better they are, the more, because they have this phobia, they have this horrible derangement syndrome about inflation.
Chris, my plate ends in a 0. No gas for you, you godless communist.
And growth can be good for inflation, not just bad for inflation. And it's a shame. Anytime numbers are announced that are not so good, I wish I could flip it the old way, that when you announce great numbers, because otherwise it's almost like they want to kill strength. They want to kill success. You announce good numbers. I want to, like, you have a couple of countries. India is one, doing very well, but it's at 7-8%. Others, take a look at Japan's numbers. I mean, they're doing very well. She's very good. She's doing a good job, a friend of mine. But they're allowed to go up. We're not allowed to go up. If we go up, they want to kill it. There's no reason we should stop at 4%. We should be at 12% and 13% GDP. And I hate what happens where in the old days we would be, that's how we built the country. Now you announce positive things and they want to bring it down by raising interest rates. And it shouldn't be that way. It should go back to the way it was.
You mentioned that Warsh might not, the chairman has other people on the Fed, obviously.
He does.
Still has Lisa Cook on the Fed.
$10. To be honest, in 107-degree heat, that self-immolation may actually be effective. Jesus Christ. Shinga finger doodle day, I bequeath that Trump is gay. Amen.
The Supreme Court ruled on Monday. I'm not really sure exactly whether it was on the merits or whether it was procedure, but I think you said it
Procedure.
Yeah, you're going to take the appropriate action when the time comes. What could you do to get rid of?
Get her off.
How would you do it at this point?
By winning the case. They sent it back, not based on the merits, they sent it back on process and procedure. So we'll start the process and we'll do perfect process and perfect procedure.
Speaking of the Supreme Court, you're allowed to fire, except for the Fed, you're allowed to fire people at other federal agencies, which for you and in your term would make a big difference for you. But my question,
it was by far the biggest slaughter, as they call it. It was by far the biggest of all the decisions and all of the cases and all of what they just announced. So this has been going on since 1932, where they took the right away from FDR. They took it away, which was, you think of FDR, that doesn't happen, but it did. He fought very hard to get it back. In fact, he wanted to pack the court. He was willing to pack the court. They were his justices. And this has been going on since 1932. And I want it back. And there are those that say this is one of the biggest decisions handed down in decades.
Well, it is. We just gave Donald Trump more power than the King of England has in his nation. That's not a joke. Donald Trump can now fire anybody who works in the executive branch, no matter what, even if they work for like private regulatory institutions, something like the FAA or the FTC. Trump can simply fire whoever the fuck he wants.
Bigger than birthright citizenship, bigger than anything.
what if a Democratic, the next time a Democrat is elected president, and the executive branch has all this expanded power that you've gotten?
Well, then they've got it.
Don't you worry they'll undo some of your policies at that point?
Oh, we're undoing everything, bro. I hope you understand, if we get to the point where there's like a democratically elected president, unless it's Gavin Newsom or Kamala Harris, we will scrub the history of the United States of the Trump name. Okay? Remove Trump's name from every single building in the United States of America. Throw his entire bloodline in prison, even his fucking granddaughter, Kai. Drain their bank accounts, reallocate that wealth to the most marginalized people in the United States of America, and pretend that Donald Trump never fucking existed in the first place, okay? That is quite literally the only plan of action. That is the new modus operandi, okay? We need to prove to the rest of the world that we understand That man was the most corrupt, evil politician in American history, and we will learn from our mistake by destroying every last inch of his legacy.
I can only speak for myself. It's necessary.
Worry about what's now.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's necessary. It's actually an honor to have won that because every president since FDR has been trying to get that back, and I got it back. That's a big deal.
Hassan says he's not a prison abolitionist because he wants to throw corrupt people in prison. I'm not a prison abolitionist either. I'm a prison reformist. I believe that there should be only two types of prisons. First of all of them publicly owned. There should be zero private prisons. But there should be prisons that are designed to rehabilitate people who do not have life sentences so that when their sentence is over, they can become a functioning member of society rather than getting sent right back to prison because they learned absolutely zero skills. They were never given any sort of rehabilitation. They went into prison for 20 years and were abused in prison, and they go out and all they know how to do is commit a crime and end up back in there. That's one type. And then the second type is gulags. I think that we should have forced slave labor for the most insane and disgusting, repugnant people in humanity, right? Like, yeah, the gulag and the kulag, right? In the kulag, you learn how to become a functioning member of society. In the gulag, we send Donald Trump and we use him for slave labor until he, and I'm not joking about that. I know a lot of people think I'm being facetious. I think that the entire GOP should be thrown into a gulag and used as forced slave labor. I'm not joking about any of this.
That's a checkpoint.
Along the same lines, if the Democrats take the House, and I want you to succeed as president. I want a businessman to run the country. And all along, you entered as a billionaire businessman, which was unprecedented. I think George Washington owned a lot of land, but no one's ever. I think JFK had a trust fund, but no one's ever been as wealthy as you. And you obviously know how to run a business, and that, I think, informs the way you run the country, obviously. Now, many people argue business experience is needed in government, and we've seen the stock market in the first term and the second term. I think it's been rewarded to have a businessman in there. So I think we shouldn't be surprised that your businesses are doing well. But how would you counter critics that say you're using the presidency to enrich yourself and your family?
Well, in a lot of ways, if you think about it, the stock has gone up so much. The stock market today, it's up 500 points. It's up to almost 53,000. I watched your show and
I agree we're blowing through our reserves, but you said 2 weeks, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. No, I didn't. What I did say was that literally 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump said on stage when he was talking about the Iran peace talks, and we're using our strategic reserves. We're at the bottom of the barrel. We have 4 weeks left. That's what he said 2 weeks ago. He said we have 4 weeks left of our strategic reserves. He said that, okay? So according to Donald Trump, we only have 2 weeks left.
I had somebody on, one of your brilliant analysts, and they said if I had won the election, they said if President Trump could get the stock market to anywhere near 50,000, that would be an unbelievable achievement, and that was over 4 years. In other words, at the end of his term, 4 years, if he could get anywhere near 50,000, that would be, well, it's at 53,000. It's just a couple of points short of 53,000 right now. And that's essentially after a little bit more than a year.
Do you worry that if the Democrats were to win the House, that there's going to be endless investigations of you and your administration?
Well, I don't do anything having to do with my business. My kids run it. I put a lot of money. I had a lot of money, and I have a lot of money, and I've made money.
That's not true whatsoever. You profited over $1.6 billion the day after Inauguration Day by doing a crypto rug pull on your most loyal dumbasses, okay? You've also profited nearly $1 trillion. The Trump organization has profited nearly $1 trillion in the beginning of since his second term.
I'm a business person. I'm a really good business person.
He's right. He's a good business person for himself. He is not a good business person for anybody else. Donald is notorious at not paying laborers. He's notorious at overvaluing his properties, right? Donald is really good at enriching himself at the expense of others. So yes, he's a good businessman in the sense of he's a good capitalist. He doesn't give a fuck what he has to do in order to boost his profit margins, but it only applies to him. It does not apply to the nation. So yeah, he's making a fuckload of money off of his presidency. That's good business. That's good capitalism. But we are the ones who are suffering because of it, but he doesn't give a shit about us. He hates us, actually.
I've made money. I've made a tremendous amount of money, more than I would have ever thought I would have made. And I let people invest it. I don't even know who they are. But it's given to big firms like that are on your show all the time. My son, Eric, handles it. I don't talk to him about things such as this. I think I'd be allowed to. I'm not sure even what the status is. But
nope, you are not allowed to whatsoever.
But I don't. And he gives it into these like semi-blind trusts or blind trusts where people invest. There was a story today about Jensen Wang, who's fantastic. NVIDIA, and that I have some stock. I think it's very small. I think it's one of many companies that one of the big Wall Street firms invests in. So they said, oh, Trump has some stock in there.
But
I don't care about that. You know why I don't care?
Yeah.
Because I have a much bigger purpose. You know, this is the Oval Office. It's a much bigger purpose than whether or not I make money. As an example, the president's the highest paid person in government. And, you know, by some standards, gets a lot of money. I'm the only president, they say, that's ever given up my salary. I gave up my salary.
Yeah, your salary of like $200,000 a year, but that's because you have already profited billions of dollars. You are the biggest scammer in American history. He's pretending like he should be getting a pat on the back for not taking his $200,000 a year salary. Meanwhile, he and his fucking Uday and Kusei window-licking, short bus riding fucking dipshit sons are literally looting the treasury and stealing hundreds of billions, if not trillions, of U.S. taxpayer money.
I don't get a salary. I gave it up. And that's a lot of, you know.
Fuck.
By some standards, that's a lot of money.
But making money in the stock market, that makes sense. So as far as crypto goes, and I'm just wondering, you didn't divest your business, you have your sons running it. Right. I think vice presidents and presidents aren't subject really to conflict of interest laws, but there's this notion that you need to be aware of conflict of interest. Yeah. There was a large sum of money made in crypto. Did you know that your family business was going to engage in crypto? Did you have anything?
Well, I was there before I was in office, but the way I view crypto is a little differently. We have to be at the top, otherwise China's going to take it over. Like, for instance, AI, we're leading substantially in AI over China and everybody else. I mean, we're leading. When I was with President Xi 3 weeks ago, he greeted me and his first words, I mean, literally were, wow, you've really done a great job. You've really, because this country was dead. We had a dead country. Now we have the hottest country in the world. And the way I look at AI, or the way I look at crypto, is if we're not going to do it, China's going to get it. Most likely China, but somebody else. Japan, it's somebody else. And I want to, it's a big industry. Crypto, if you call it an industry, but it's a big deal. And crypto is a big deal. You look at it, the way it's grown over the years, you have believers, you don't have believers, you know, whatever it is, but it's a big deal. And anything we do, I want to be number one in. And we're number one in crypto, and we're also number one in AI.
We're also number one in arming and funding genocides. We're also number one in slaughtering civilians overseas. We're also number one in losing wars to Iran. We're also number one in electing pedophiles to be the president.
In the disclosure this week, the amount of money that you and the family made in crypto, it was an outsized number. I was just asking, were you know about the crypto venture? So that was just something.
By the way, I could know about it. I didn't. Right. I mean, there's nothing illegal. There's nothing wrong with it. I could know.
There's nothing wrong with you profiting billions of dollars off of a crypto meme coin rug pull the day after your inauguration? Okay.
I remember on Title 18, Section 208 from Congress, you, the Vice President, and you do not have, you would have to recuse yourself.
I didn't even know that.
You would have to recuse yourself on every decision that running the country that could have anything to do with you. So it just isn't feasible to do.
Well, I feel badly in a way for my kids, because every time my kids do, if they invest in a stock or if they go and do a bill, anything they do, because the presidency is so powerful, so big, everything, if they buy a cupcake company, well, the energy to make the cupcakes is, you know, sort of like, how's my energy policy? So therefore you have a conflict. Almost anything they do, if they want to buy a truck, if they want to buy, you know, if they buy an energy efficient truck, they have inside information.
The President of the United States of America just said that his sons participate in insider trading every single time they purchase anything. I never want to hear another word about Hunter Biden ever fucking again.
So
I know the chat isn't on screen.
It's pretty tough in that sense. I tell my kids, stay away from as much as you can stay away from. But they also have a life. You know, we were doing business long before I ever thought of. You knew me a long time before I thought of even running. You knew me before I even thought about running for president.
I did. I knew you before.
And we did a lot of business.
Melania, I think.
Yeah, that's right. So that's but I did. You know, I've made a lot.
Melania, who got her citizenship 4 months after giving birth to Barron. Melania, who, according to Donald Trump, should never have been allowed in the United States of America in the first place. I don't know if you know this, maybe you missed my last video, but the Republicans are trying to ban all foreign pregnant women from coming to the United States of America because the Republicans claim they are participating in something called birth tourism, where they are funded by foreign nations to send pregnant women to the United States of America and then give birth, because the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution says if you are born on American soil, you are an American citizen. Now, here's the thing. Birthing tourism is not a real thing. What that is called is just the American dream. It's also the way that all of our ancestors made it here. At some point, one of your ancestors came here, and their child was the first American-born member of your bloodline. But according to the Republicans, that should be illegal.
A lot of money over the years, and I think one of the reasons that I got elected was they have a business person. And if you look at what's happening,
let's just confirm this one more time. According to Donald Trump, his son Barron should not be a U.S. citizen. That's not a joke. According to Donald Trump, his own son Barron should not be a U.S. citizen. Fantastic.
we're beating everybody. We're beating China. We're beating every single country. We're the envy of the world. And AI, whether it's good or bad, we have it. And we are leading by so much. I'm letting all of these big plants, everyone said, well, we don't have the energy to compete. I came up, and this was something I'm proud of. I did it myself. I came up with this idea. I let each plant build their own electricity. They become a utility. But these massive plants that are being built, they can't go off an old grid. So we wouldn't have anybody. We literally wouldn't have anything. We need double the energy, double the electricity that we have right now to do that. Just that one AI industry. So I let the plants, as they build these billions and billions of dollars of plants, I let them build their own electric generating plants, and they build them on top, they build them on the side, they build them separately, and we have nothing but electricity. If you really look, we have more than anybody. If I didn't come up with that concept, we would not be in first place. We'd be in last place. We wouldn't have any. We don't have enough from the old grid.
What about taking?
So I'm sort of proud of that.
Reportedly, Sam Altman is discussing giving the government a 5% stake in OpenAI. Is that possible? And is that true? And would other AI companies do similar things? Or would you like them
I did
to?
something with Intel.
Right.
That a lot of people don't know about and talk about, but it was, they had problems with things, and they got hurt badly because no president ever charged tariffs, and Taiwan literally took 100% of the business almost, mostly Taiwan, but South Korea a little bit, but mostly Taiwan. And I said, boy, if I was president, that would have never happened. Taiwan would never be in the position they're in. Now, of course, they're in a little bit of a tenuous position. And I have them all moving back. They're all moving back into this country. We're going to have 40 to 50 to 60% of the chips. I think by the time, or pretty close to the time I leave office, they're building chip factories in Arizona in particular. The biggest company in the world is building. They're leaving Taiwan, meaning to build this. They're building their biggest plant, and I think we're going to have a big percentage of chips. Right now, we had virtually nothing. We didn't make chips anymore. And Intel came in. They had a problem. I said, I can solve your problem, but I want 10% of the company.
I'm not kidding, socialism. That's socialism. He's trying to nationalize Intel. He's trying to get the United States government to own 10% of a company. That's socialism.
They said, what? I said, I want 10% of the company. And he agreed to. And the stock has gone through. So I think we made $60 or $70 billion in 8 months. Do I get credit for that? No. Somebody said, that's not very American. I said, no, I think it is very American, actually. And I've done that with other deals where
they had a loan anyway from the CHIPS Act, and it's better to have equity than a loan, you would think.
It worked out well from our standpoint.
Right, that's what I mean.
We really had no investment. We had on zero investment. We made about, I guess, $70 billion in a period of 8 or 9 months. But that's a great thing.
Thank you for the $10.
What's happened is
Appreciate
Intel has gone through the roof. It's one of the hottest companies, and they've done a great job.
Is Chinese AI, is it catching up, and do you need some new restrictions?
The answer is yes.
That it would make sense on technology flow?
Well, you need some guardrails, but you want to do as little as possible. You want to be good. When we think there's a bad player out there, there's a little danger, we stop the player quickly and effectively. We had a recent case where we did that. But you have to be in the game. AI is bigger than the internet.
Real quick, guys, friendly reminder, if you're enjoying this live stream, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and also share this video with your group chat of dumb fuck idiots, okay? Also, if you want to help support independent media, you want to help the growth of the OAL media, you can buy merch like the posters behind me. We also have mugs. It's great for your coffee and tea. We've got hoodies. We've got low-cut shirts. We've got all that jazz, t-shirts located down below. You can click the join button down below to become a member of the channel for $5. That'll give you access to member-only content. You can click the thanks button down below to tip me directly, and you can become a patron on Patreon by donating $5, $6, $10, whatever you want to donate. It goes an incredibly long way, and it gives you access to all of my videos on Patreon completely ad-free if you don't want to buy YouTube Premium, okay? Thank you very much, and let's return to the video.
I've never seen anything. The internet was a big deal. I think this is much bigger than the internet. And I'm basing it on numbers. I've never seen anything. Look, I went through the internet thing, and I watched and I saw it grow. very effective.
Constitussy butt plug merch when?
But this could be bigger. If we're not competing, and if we're going to compete, because I really think whoever's number one is going to really win the race. And right now we're substantially number one.
We're going to try and do as much as we can.
You go ahead.
I hope that's okay.
If he needs a little more time, just relax. I'm not Kamala. You know, they give him 4 minutes and then start screaming at him.
That housing bill.
Don't be nervous, okay?
Trump's like,
I love talking to you. You're gonna stay as long as I tell you to, okay? You're not allowed to go home.
I'm only in the Oval Office with, no, I'm not.
He's been my friend for a long time, and he's a good man, too.
In a few days, it's going to become law one way or the other, the housing bill, right? You're going to sign it? Will it become law? Where do you...
all right, I'm going to tell you what he's going to say. He's going to say, I'm not signing the housing bill until the Save America Act passes. The Save America Act is so much more important, I don't even think about the housing bill. Fuck housing. Also, I want the prices of housing to go up because there's plenty of rich people, friends of mine, who just bought their first house and they finally have something that's worth money. That's what he's going to say.
Stand on that. Is it? I know you called it a yawn. I don't think you were necessarily anti-housing bill. You called it a yawn because you think what's really important is
Save America Act, yeah. So I think the Save America Act is the most important thing that we'll have before us, and maybe for many
I know this motherfucker like the back of my cock.
years back and many years forward. It's voter identification with a photo. So you look at somebody, yeah, that looks like that guy. Voter ID, it's proof of citizenship.
You're not providing free voter IDs to everybody. That's the thing. You would need a U.S. passport in order to do it. And then on top of that, U.S. passports cost like $200 and take 3 weeks to get delivered to you. And also, there's an absolute fuckload of Americans who do not have passports because they're so poor they've never had to leave the country. So they've never needed a fucking passport, dude. And guess what, Donald? The overwhelming majority of those people are Republicans that don't have U.S. passports. It's the stupidest shit ever.
And it's no mail-in ballots, except for the military. We're very generous on this. If you're sick, if you're just not feeling well, you can get exceptions. If there's a disability, there's some problem. Or
by the way, Donald Trump has voted by mail in every single election he's ever voted in because he's registered to vote in New York, and meanwhile he spends all his time either in Mar-a-Lago or in Washington, D.C.
if you go on vacation. But you can't send in millions and millions and millions of ballots where you swamp the place, and it's so corrupt. We're the only country in the world that does it. So it's...
Again, false, not true whatsoever. There are so many countries that do mail-in ballots.
Those three things. I also had no men in women's sports, but we won that yesterday in the Supreme Court. And I also had no transgender mutilization of children, and frankly, we'll win that too. So I took them out. So I have the three things.
You let it go, the housing, you let
well,
you would
okay.
veto it, would you?
So nobody knows more about housing than I do. I made billions and billions of dollars with housing, and I know exactly what they've done. They made maybe zoning easier, but maybe they made it tougher without knowing it. It's very complex stuff. But the housing bill is fine. There's a lot of Democrat points in there that I don't even think are good, but it's fine. But I've made the case I'd rather not sign anything until we sign the Save America Act.
You think through reconciliation
or Save
filibuster?
America, because if you do...
Dude, Trump could write a bill where like the text of it says we're going to fuck your ass. We're gonna fuck everybody's ass. And then he'll call it the Save America Act, right? And literally every single Republican will fall for that shit hook, line, and sinker. This is why I've been saying you need to cloak socialist policies as super patriotism, right? You need to convince a voter that they support a policy before they know it's a socialist policy. Because we're in the United States of America. We lived through both Red Scares. We have been, sowing propaganda about the socialist and communist scourge for so fucking long that even if you said, hey, I'm going to give you $1 million, so a fucking red voter would be like, is that socialist? They go, well, yeah, technically it's a socialist policy. I don't want the $1 million. I refuse socialism, right? You need to say, hey, wouldn't it be super patriotic if we used our tax dollars on making your city better? We call that the Super Patriot I Love America bill. And they'll be like, well, hell yeah, I'm down for that. Meanwhile, it's like a socialist policy.
To Save America, you're not going to have cheating.
Practically, how do we get there on Save America? What would you like Majority Leader Thune to...
Well, I would like them to get it passed. What I'd really like is for them to kill the filibuster, right. Terminate the filibuster. When they terminate the filibuster, then they'll immediately approve the Save America and 100 other things You could sit down all day long and just vote, and you'd have it. And the
Why does
sad
it keep
part is,
doing that? Did you guys see it? Just change the fucking Zoom? Nelson, I'm gonna need you at some point to tell me why the fuck that keeps on happening. It just randomly changed the Zoom. Fucking weird, bro.
probably have 5 or 6 senators that
I
want
didn't click nothing. I didn't do nothing. It just did it on its own.
to vote for it, Republican senators, and all of the Democrats. So their policy's no good, the Democrats. I call them the Democrats because their policies are so bad. But the one thing,
A lot of people don't know dumb has a B in it. Did you know dumb has a B in it?
unfortunately, they stick together. They don't have
Well, we'll see.
Mitch McConnell,
We'll see what this
now Mitch McConnell.
The Democratic Party's got their own issues right now. We'll talk
They
about
do.
that a
It's a
little later.
different kind of issue. When
Yeah.
they vote on something, they say,
like the board
look at the
club.
Supreme Court justices. The 3 Supreme Court justices, every vote, blah, 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 if it's for or against.
Blah, blah, blah. Official quote for the President of the United States. Blah, blah, blah. Thanks, Donnie.
It's 100%. I don't think they had any dissension. Where's our people? Yeah, no. It's almost, I've said it. Republicans want to show everybody how they're not controlled, how they're so honorable. Whereas the Democrat justices, and judges, by the way, and judges, they get up, Barack Hussein Obama appointed me, and I'm voting for him. Republicans don't do that. And I'm amazed. I'm not saying it has to be a loyalty test.
Yes, you are. You're saying that if you are a member of the United States government, you must bend the knee to the Fuhrer and follow my commands as I say them. That is what you are. That is literally what you're saying.
But it's much different. The 3 justices vote as a block. I think I can remember one time, but very, very seldom, do they not vote as a block. Whereas our people, and we have 6, but they move around a little bit and they surprise. For instance, birthright citizenship. I should have won that. That wasn't meant for billionaires from China bringing a child over and becoming an American citizen.
That's hilarious because the whole birthright citizenship 14th Amendment was written up because of Chinese babies, you stupid fuck.
And far worse than that, much worse than that.
Yes, this is still sped up.
The last
It
word's
was a
not out on
terrible
that
vote.
either.
I'll tell you, the worst vote was tariffs. I'm doing the same tariffs, but now it's much tougher. Jill, I stopped 8 wars because of tariffs. India, Pakistan.
Thank you for the $2.
I mean, I did so many. I stopped.
He didn't stop 8 wars. He didn't stop a single war. Donald Trump did not end a single war. He did bomb. I think he started military operations against 12 different nations. Let's just try to name. So Trump says he ended 8 wars. Let's think of the places we bombed Mexico. We bombed Venezuela. We bombed fishing boats in the Caribbean. We bombed Yemen. We bombed Nigeria. We obviously are at war in Iran. We armed and funded and defend the Israelis. We bombed Mexico, yes, in a like a narco-terrorist operation, yes. We bombed Ecuador. What else? We threatened to invade Greenland. There is more. This is just what I can. Syria. We bombed Syria. Trump says he wants to take back Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan. That's 11. I think we bombed Libya. Oh, we starved the Cubans with the embargo. So that's 13. There's more. Off the top of my head, I can think of 13 different nations that we began military operations against. Okay, just off the top of my head, I guarantee. Oh, Somalia, 14. We threatened to annex Canada, 15. Did we bomb Sudan? 16. I said Yemen. Yeah, so I can think of 16 off the top of my head, okay? There is not a single war that Donald Trump ended, but there is 16 different nations that he has either started military operations against or threatened to start military operations against. I said Greenland.
8 wars, everybody acknowledges it. And 5 of the 8 were stopped because of tariffs. I said, if you keep fighting,
I said
I'm going to put a 200%
I said
tariff
Venezuela.
on your country. Said it the same thing to the other. I did it with India and with Pakistan. 11 planes were shot down. They were going to war, and they're nuclear nations, strong nuclear nations. And the Prime Minister of Pakistan said President Trump saved at least 30 million lives by.
He never said that, by the way. The Pakistanis and the Indians came out and said Donald Trump had absolutely nothing to do with ending the conflict between the two nations. Both sides came out and said that. This was a long process done between Pakistan and India. Donald Trump played zero fucking role.
Stopping this war.
You know what has been a really good indicator of what's happening in the war in Iran or whatever the conflict is oil. And regardless of what we hear from whomever has the stage in Iran. But you pointed out, we don't know who's talking at any given time. There's different factions.
Yeah, because the Israelis keep on assassinating everybody, and we assassinated everybody, and we don't know who the fuck is in charge anymore.
And then another.
We killed the second level?
But $67, $68 oil.
Sorry.
We're down to lower than we were before?
It shows you that probably, even though we have these skirmishes on both sides, and I don't know whether that continues, I don't know whether you can tell me whether that continues, have you been close to doing more than just a reciprocal move on them?
Well, I think I've done much more than reciprocal.
Right, but you want diplomacy. You want diplomacy at this point.
Look, I built the military in my first term.
Right.
I'm using it in my second term. When I went in, otherwise we wouldn't have. And that's after Biden gave so much away in Afghanistan. He just said, leave it. We left.
That was literally, I'm not kidding, Biden's withdrawal from Afghanistan was Donald Trump's plan written up during his first presidency, thinking he would get a second term. And Joe Biden quite literally said, fuck it, let's just do what Donald Trump wrote up. So let's just say Trump did win the 2020 election. It would have been the exact same Afghanistan withdrawal. We would have left all that shit behind, and Trump would have claimed that it was a good thing.
Brand new.
Because, I don't know if you guys know this, it costs way, way, way more to bring back all of your military equipment than it does to leave it behind. On top of that, the United States military loves to arm different groups all around the Middle East, so we have a future enemy, right? This is what we did with the Mujahideen, right? We armed and trained the Mujahideen and a very young and very brave Osama bin Laden. That's not my words, that's the words of the U.S. government. Go look at the end of, of Rambo 2. Screen goes black, it says, this film is dedicated to the brave fighters of the Mujahideen holding back the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, right? We trained and armed them, we left behind our weaponry, and then after that war was over, the Mujahideen turned into the Taliban. The Taliban turned into Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda turned into ISIS. All of this is intentional so that the United States of America can maintain a foothold in the Middle East.
New military vehicles.
What's up, Cena? How you doing, Cena, buddy? How you doing? I'm glad you're alive. That's our, if you don't know who Cena is our Iranian. That's it. He's our Iranian. He lives in Tehran. I think that he finally fled, but he's been bobbing and weaving like playing Frogger against Israeli and American bombs, trying to get all the way out. It's incredible. I love you, Cena. I'm glad you're alive and safe.
Left airplanes. These people are crazy. They don't know what they're doing, and there was no reason to do it. Yeah. Getting out of Afghanistan was fine, but
look at my Iranian. Oh, I love my Iranian.
They should have kept Bagram, the Air Force Base. They could have kept it very...
They should have kept Bagram Air Force Base. I'm telling you, Trump wants to reinvade Afghanistan and take back Bagram Air Base.
Easily. We would have gotten out with dignity and strength. That we shouldn't have been there in the first place. Or we could...
That's the one fucking thing he's correct about. We should have never been in Afghanistan in the fucking first place.
I would have won it. I would have won it or gotten out. But I would have won it. But they just teetered around. You know, it's interesting. So we're in the war. And it's really the denuclearization of Iran. This is not...
You can't denuclearize a nation that doesn't have nuclear weapons, you fucking dipshit.
Not a war per se. This is the denuking of Iran. You can't let them have a nuclear weapon. And I'm doing it for 3.5, 4 months, right? Look at Venezuela. That was a one-day war. And we've gotten our money back.
Did he just call the Venezuela kidnapping operation a war? Okay. Thanks, Donald. So you didn't get congressional approval to declare war on Venezuela, and then you sent in special forces to kidnap their sovereign leader? Okay.
Many, many times over for the cost of the war, but in a certain way, I'm doing just as well with Iran. It's a much bigger, more complex situation. Our relationship, by the way, with Venezuela is great. They're doing better than they've ever done.
They're literally burning effigies in Venezuela, effigies of Donald Trump and Marco Rubio. That's not a joke.
Oil, the big companies are moving in, and we're getting a good chunk of it too, as we should. But with Iran,
what if they jerk you around? What if they jerk us around again with either the Strait or with the, you know, they know the midterms are coming?
Because they've had their own way for 47 years. Like if you're a spoiled child and you've had your way for many years with your parents, and all of a sudden they come down hard on you, it takes you a little while to get used to it. They've had their way for 47 years. They pushed everywhere. They were known as the...
No new wars? Guys, you're forgetting. He meant no, comma, new wars. They said... It's what it is peace president with a question mark? No! New wars. That's what he meant when he said peace president, no new wars. He meant, you're asking me if I'm a peace president? No. New wars. Thanks, Tommy.
Bully of the Middle East. They pushed the countries around and they pushed the United States around because we had presidents that weren't willing to do. Look, Barack Obama paid them.
Oh, really? We were being pushed around when we were allowed to easily use the Strait of Hormuz completely for free, and now the Iranians have shut it down and we have to pay a toll, or other nations have to pay a toll. Oh yeah, great.
To try and keep them in line. Gave them $1.7 billion in cash.
You're giving them $200 billion in U.S. taxpayer money. We unfroze, $12 billion of Iranian funds that we illegally froze through sanctions under the JCPOA. Your deal is, beyond a shadow of a doubt, irrefutably, so much fucking worse than the JCPOA.
Remember that because you reported that. They put it on a beautiful 757 Boeing.
None of this is true. He's about to say that we put pallets of cash onto a Boeing and flew it over to Iran. None of that is true. We literally just unfroze their bank accounts.
They took all the seats out and they stuffed it with green cash from Virginia, Maryland, and D.C.
Literally none of this is true. I don't know how he still believes this.
The banks had no money left. They literally...
This is one of the few things where I don't think he's lying. I think he's confabulating, okay? I think he thinks this is true, okay? There's plenty of times where Trump lies. Like, for example, when he said they jumped into the reflecting pool and they carved a 350-foot gash. He's lying and he knows he's lying. But when it comes to the plane full of cash, he actually believes that happened.
Took and they delivered it to Iran, and they took out satchels and sacks of money. In addition to that, they paid tens of billions of dollars. And you know, they got.
And also, this journalist, if you want to call him a journalist, is not going to say, but sir, you agreed to give Iran $200 billion worth of U.S. taxpayer money on top of $24 billion that you're going to immediately unfreeze.
A lot of nuclear research and a lot of weapons and a lot of missiles and an enemy. They actually went on the other side. And how a Jewish person can vote for a Democrat is beyond me.
Well, let's
because I've been the best president in the history of Israel.
You can't say that, dog. Okay, so I don't need to do what I do. You do it for me now, right? I say that you have been the most loyal Goyim in the history of Goyim. And now you're saying it. You're not even trying to hide it anymore. You said, I have been the best president in the history of Israel? Hava Nagila, Hava Nagila, Hava Nagila, Trump's a pedophile. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Why don't you move to Tel Aviv and run for prime minister?
And they acknowledge, and by the way, in Israel, I think I was at 99% or something. But Joe, you can't let Iran...
You are a good simp, Valenti simp.
Israel, the Middle East or not, you can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And when you say, maybe I'm a little bit nice, no other president's even thought of doing what I did.
Yeah, every single other president, what a pause. Every single other president has been confronted by Israel, and Israel said, you're going to go to war with Iran for us, or we're going to bomb them. And then we told them to go fuck themselves. You, Donnie, are the first pedophile president who has been willing to go to war in Israel's name.
So in my first little while there, I ripped their military report. They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. They have
false.
No radar.
False. They have a Navy, they have an Air Force, they have radar. I guarantee you he's going to say they have no anti-aircraft, we fucked with their missile silos, we fucked with their drones. None of this is true. And the mines.
Their leaders are all dead?
No, they're not.
And they they raise new leaders. They're all dead also.
That's not
We're
true.
The third set of leaders. And we actually get along with them. I think they're much more rational. By the way, I think that's regime change, but I'm not looking...
You do not get along with them. If you got along with them, the Strait of Hormuz would be opened and the war would be over.
...for regime change. I'm looking for something very simple. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. Or if you want to see market disruption. So think of it. The oil today is at $68. The market's up to almost $53,000. The S&P, they said the S&P would never hit 7,000. Never. I did that in 10 months.
Yeah, artificially. Through market manipulation. That's not even a joke, bro. You've been manipulating the market the entire fucking time. That's why you say on a Friday, we're about to have peace, folks. We're going to have peace. And then on Monday, you bomb them. You're manipulating the fucking market in order to boost the stock portfolios of all of the billionaire rapists in this country.
I would never hit it during my term. They said I'd never hit 50,000. during my
We
term.
spoke. We spoke.
And nobody else
you
would. Yeah,
asked
but
me
Joe,
if I-
neither would, and they said nobody else would either. They said if I could get to
this was a pragmatic
45,000.
end. I said that to you when you asked me if this is a pragmatic end. You're not going to be in a forever war.
That's true.
And
Well, that's true.
there are other concerns, but
Joe, wait a second. We're in Vietnam for 19 years.
but
Oh my God, he's gonna go through the whole thing again.
Vietnam for 19 years, World War I for 2 years, World War II for 2 years, Iraq for 22 years. I've been here for what? 3-4 months?
We were in Afghanistan for like 10 years. We were in the Korean War forever. We were in, I don't even mention World War I and World War II, they're biggies, but you know what? Stuff like this could have led to it. But we were in many, many years in every war. I've been there for 4 months. And what have I done? I've defeated them militarily.
No, you haven't.
They're totally defeated militarily.
Then why is the Strait of Hormuz closed?
They have some missiles left. We could wipe them out too.
We've defeated them militarily. I mean, they have some missiles left.
What? 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 Yeah, no, I cut off my girlfriend, but we do fuck every once in a while. What? What the fuck does that mean?
And I hit them 3 times last week very hard. Because
You, and I hit him 3 times last week very hard, but we are in the middle of a ceasefire.
We did sign the memorandum of understanding, and we are in a time of peace, but I did bomb the fuck out of them all last week.
Dude, I actually, like, all Republicans are subhuman inferior vermin, and we must eradicate their ideology from this fucking planet.
they sent a drone into a ship, I hit them. Then they did something else, and I hit them. I hit them 3 nights in a row. The week before, I hit them 2 nights in a row very hard. And we're negotiating, and we'll see whether or not. I think they've agreed to just about everything we need.
no.
They've agreed to nothing. You signed the memorandum of understanding and agreed to all 14 points. You immediately violated all 14 points.
Do you? I'm going to switch gears completely. And we have assets left over there. If necessary, you're willing to do what's necessary.
We have all the assets. No, they're just
And
waiting.
You're not anticipating another full.
Joe, I did a blockade. That was essentially not a blockade. It was a wall of steel. We have the great Navy, the greatest Navy.
So the Iranians blockaded the Strait of Hormuz, and then you blockaded their blockade? Really? And then Chinese ships were able to get through because you don't have the audacity to fire on Chinese ships? So it was a complete fucking waste of money and time?
You know what? These guys are unbelievable. Not one ship got through
False!
to Iran. They have 300% inflation. They're making no money. So we're going to take some of the money and we're going to buy them. They need food. They need corn and wheat and soybeans. And we're going to have exclusively our American farmers provide that.
Again, confabulation. He's claiming that part of the memorandum of understanding is that Iran is going to buy food from American farmers. Nowhere in the 14 points, by the way. Nowhere. That we're going to make money off of selling corn and wheat to the Iranians. Are you a fucking idiot? Well, he is. He's a fucking idiot.
Assuming we get to the position where we should get to. I think we're going to get there. Their strength is gone. Their bravado is gone, although they keep up a pretty good front.
That's called bravado, dumb fuck idiot.
The one thing they do have is fake news. The New York Times said the other day that Iran is in better position now than it was 4 months ago.
They are. They're in a better position than they've been in their entire fucking existence. They have a stranglehold over the oil economy, you fucking idiot. They just proved to the entire planet that the U.S. military is a paper tiger incapable of opening up the Strait of Hormuz. They just proved that they could beat a nuclear-powered and nuclear-armed nation in war, despite the fact that they don't have nukes. They destroyed $1.6 million interceptor missiles with a $20,000 Shahed drone. They fucked us up our ass.
I said, wait a minute. Their military is gone. Their inflation is up to 300% from 5%.
Hi, buddy.
Their leaders are gone. Their second row of leaders are gone. Some of their third row of leaders are gone. Their generals are mostly wiped out. But they said that they are in better shape today than they were 4 months ago
Because they are.
before we attacked. No, we were very strong. And, you know, look, I always said I don't want to be a president with a depression.
He doesn't want to be Herbert Hoover. The reason this is on his mind is because he's approaching the end of his life and he knows it. And that little itch in the back of his mind says, you're going to be remembered as one of the worst presidents in American history, if not the worst president in American history. You are going to make the Great Depression of 1929 look like a fucking joke and start a global depression when the AI bubble pops in the middle of a housing crisis, a Medicare crisis, a housing crisis, a healthcare crisis, a fuel crisis, and then the AI bubble will pop.
on his resume.
Why isn't the journalist saying a word against his point? Because this is not a journalist. This is a state-controlled propagandist who gets paid exuberant amounts of money to cradle Trump's crunchy balls and throat his cock.
I don't want to be Herbert Hoover. Of almost all presidents,
I don't want to be Herbert Hoover. Fucking told you.
and some have been bad, some have been good.
I want to be more like Reagan. I don't want to be like Herbert Hoover. I want to be like Reagan.
Very few have been great, but I never want to be Herbert Hoover, because Herbert Hoover was the president that probably took us into the Great Depression.
Yeah, do you know why? Tariffs. Smedley-Butler Act. Sweeping tariffs on all goods coming into the United States of America. That's what led to the Great Depression. You fucking idiot. Oh, God.
Greatest Depression led the whole world there. He raised interest rates and he raised taxes simultaneously. I guess he was trying to do something, but that didn't work out too well. By the way, you know what? It took us 30 years to get out of it. FDR didn't get us out of it. There's a picture right there, FDR, nice picture. It took us years to get out of it. I don't ever want to be in a depression. I don't want to be a president that oversees the great worldwide depression.
Too
That was
late.
Herbert Hoover. And it was a terrible thing. And he made a mistake. Now, if I want to be
Oh,
the
sorry,
tough guy,
Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, not the Smedley-Butler Act. Smedley-Butler was something different.
close up the strait for the next years, where 21% or whatever it might be, 20%, 21% of the oil never comes out, and you can't get oil anymore. You know what a lot of people don't know? One of the reasons it only went up, it went up to like $115. If you remember, and I've seen guests on your show where they go, oil will be $350 a barrel, and there'll be a depression. Because at 350, there's a depression. It's automatic. It goes with it. I said, well, we got to do something. We did something nobody knew.
Oh, my God, is he about to say? He's going to say one of two things. He's going to say either A, we tapped into the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, or B, he's going to make this outrageous claim. It is not true whatsoever. There is zero evidence of this. He's going to claim that we were turn those lights off, that we turned off all the lights on oil ships and in the dead of night escorted them out of the Strait of Hormuz and moved something like 200 million barrels of oil. That's what he's going to claim. None of this is true.
Every night we were taking ships out through the south, which is the furthest point from where they have their little weapons. And they were going along the coast with no lights for a month and a half. A lot of ships came out. We had one night where we took 22 ships out. That's a lot of oil. Those are big ships. Some of them are really big ships. And in a way, they had courage going out. But our Navy took them out. We escorted them out.
Absolutely none of that is true.
And nobody knew. The lights were off. Everything was off. Everything
Get those lights off.
was silent. We blew up Iran's radar. They had no radar.
Again, not true. We did not destroy Iran's radar.
They still don't. We blew it up again the other night. They had a nice new radar system.
Wait, you just said we blew up their radar back then, and then you said we blew it up again the other night? This is like when he said we obliterated their nuclear facilities, and then we waged a war to make sure they didn't have nuclear facilities, allegedly. You can't have it both ways, you pedophile.
They were all set to go, and we blew it up last week. They have to start all over again for a third time.
If you talk,
But Joe, that kept, I think, other things too.
It
But Joe,
never
think
went
of
up
it.
as much
Did
as
we ever
people
get
thought.
above 115?
Never went up as.
Think of it.
Originally, it was at 115, came down quickly.
No, but they thought it was going to go to 300. If you have 300, then I become Herbert Hoover. I don't want to be Herbert Hoover.
Have you spoken to Elon since he became a trillionaire? And
I haven't. I know.
Thank you for the $20 donation, bro. I have to watch my blood pressure. I'm out. Have a great rest of your stream. Thank you. I appreciate you, Ohio Custom Rods. And look at you. Your name is up in the cube. Your name's right there. Your name's right there. Ohio Custom Rods. You're in my room.
I wrote him a note. I said, congratulations, very good. I have a very good relationship with Elon. Elon and I had a little dispute because he backed me 100%.
Oh, do you mean like when Elon Musk posted, I'll drop the big news, Donald J. Trump is in the Epstein files? You mean that?
Liked me, still likes me. But I did a little thing called the electric mandate. We're not going to have an electric mandate where everybody has to have an electric car, where your beautiful son standing over there is...
There was never an electric car mandate. Never. There was never a mandate written up that said every single American can only drive electric cars. That's not true. If you think that's true, you're a fucking idiot.
Mandated to have an electric car if he wants gas generated or gasoline generated or a hybrid. And I made so many speeches, and Elon was there for many of them, and I'd always say, we will not have the electric mandate. But when I actually did it, Elon was not thrilled about that. And I can understand it, but he's doing good.
Yeah, he's moved on. Do you think, Have you talked to him about donating SpaceX to something you might want to talk about, or donating SpaceX stock to Trump accounts?
Well, I think that he would.
Every new baby gets a SpaceX stock portfolio. Oh, God.
Do that. Micron, which is a great company, just did it. Yeah. Michael Dell is a fantastic guy. He did $6,250,000,000.
Are you ringing the bell next week or something?
And I'm ringing the bell right here, I think. They're going to have a bell, and it's New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ. I said, what do you mean? They don't do both?
You're invited to the NASDAQ if you want to.
Well, well, that's interesting. That's very interesting. No, they're doing it together. It's the first time.
I can do that. I have a...
No, but you know what they're doing? I was surprised. They're doing it together. New York Stock Exchange, I think Jeff is coming in, and the head of NASDAQ is coming in, and we're doing it together. See? It can happen. We're doing it. See this spot right here? The bell's going to be right there.
That brings me just back to 250 and how you think you can set us up for the next 50 years. And one of the things I think is, Secretary Bessent talked about the Trump doctrine. There were 5 things, and I think
The Don Rowe Doctrine.
we got to have national capacity here for anything we need. We need to be able to get it here. Reciprocity. We can't be, it can't be flowing one way to the rest of the world. We got to write the rules for the new technology, which is that's AI. Dollar's got to stay strong. We need financial leadership. But maybe most importantly, it's all got to flow up and down to every American needs to participate.
Right. Oh, yeah. So do you trickle down economics? Yeah, because that worked.
In the prosperity here. Trump accounts, I think it's a big leap towards, it's a novel way. We haven't even considered it in the past.
It's fucking stupid. A Trump account is, the whole point of the Trump accounts is that a billionaire will seed $1,000 into a new stock portfolio for all new babies. It's built upon a promise that billionaires will give money to every new baby. There's no guarantees from the US government. So instead of giving us straight up fucking socialism, straight up government funded bank accounts, right? No, instead they're giving you billionaire funded bank accounts. It's insane. It's insane.
Might be the most powerful, instead of just transfer payments.
It's a beautiful thing. Yeah. It's a child has no money, and when that baby becomes a man or a woman, they can have hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe more. But
literally none of that is true.
They can have hundreds of thousands of dollars because we're seeding it. And guys like Michael Dell and Susan, his wife,
billionaires. He's saying billionaires will seed these accounts. It's based on a fucking promise.
They were so strong for it. But think of it, he's putting up $6,250,000,000. That's tremendous amount. I don't care how rich you are. That's a lot of money. And he wants to do it again. And others are. So again, I literally just spoke yesterday to Micron, hot company, great guy. What a great guy. And he said, we're putting up $250 million into the Trump accounts. Mm-hmm. So many companies.
$250 million? That ain't diddly shit, son. Oh my God.
Doing it. And kids that won't have any money when they turn 18 or 21 have a chance of being sort of rich. It's an amazing thing, and it's been very successful.
Do you have a favorite president, or do you think there's...
I was going to say Ronald Reagan.
A period that was so...
Oh my God, he's going to say the Gilded Age. He's going to say the late 1890s.
Formative. Have we lost our way in any respects?
We have.
Think at this point?
We've had some very bad presidents. The president has got tremendous power in this country. Even before the decision that I got, Slaughter, they call it the Slaughter decision, which is an interesting name. But that's a very powerful decision. But it gave a lot more power to the president. But it has been a strong presidency, not just me. It's been a strong presidency. It's considered a strong office. Other presidents are not considered a strong office. Even if you're president, you can't do as much. But now with this additional, it's very special. We are respected again as a country, maybe like never before.
Definitely like never before, bro. We are the laughing stock of planet Earth.
A year and a half ago, we were laughed at. They're not laughing anymore. They respect us.
No, now they're cackling. They went from like snickering and giggling to straight up cackling and knee slapping.
King of Saudi Arabia told me, and I said this numerous times. He said it, but many people said it. He said, President, a year and a half ago, America was dead.
And now it's the hottest country on earth.
They thought it was dead. And right now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world, and we do.
Well, let's hope for another 250 like that.
Thank you very much.
We're on a good start. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Jim, very much.
All the time. Thank you.
What a dog shit interview. This guy needs to be fucking fired. What a dog shit interview where all he did was hand him straight up fucking layups. And even then, Trump missed half of the fucking layups. Good God. All right, thank God that's finally over. And that was sped up, guys. That was sped up. Ugh. All right, guys. I'm going to end the live stream there. Thank you very much for tuning into the Valenti VOD. Dude, the Zoom did it again. Why the fuck does it keep doing that? This makes no sense. I don't know why the fuck it keeps doing that. All right. Thank you very much for tuning into the Valenti VOD. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It costs you nothing. It helps me immensely. And consider donating to the channel. You can buy merch. You can click the join button to become a member. You can click the thanks button down below to tip me directly. And you can become a patron on Patreon. I love you all. Stay cool. It is incredibly hot outside. And be good. Don't do anything I would do. All right, guys? Bye. Bye.